My name is Ethan, and when this happened, I was 26 years old. I lived on my family's sunflower farm in southern Missouri. The farm wasn't huge by commercial standards, but it was large enough to keep my parents busy year-round. I helped whenever I could, though I'd be lying if I said I planned on staying there forever. Most people my age were building careers in cities, while I was repairing fences and maintaining irrigation lines. My parents loved the lifestyle. I wasn't so sure. One July, my parents left for a week-long anniversary trip. That left me at home with my younger sisters, Alyssa and Brooke, to look after the property. The nearest neighbor was over a mile away. Once the sun went down, the place felt isolated enough to be its own world. For the first few days, everything was normal. Then one night, just before midnight, our dogs started losing their minds. We had 2 German shepherds that almost never barked without reason. When they did, we paid attention. I stepped onto the back porch and immediately heard them growling near the edge of the property. The dogs were staring toward the sunflower fields. The moonlight barely illuminated the tops of the plants, leaving most of the field swallowed by darkness. I listened carefully. At first, I heard nothing. Then came a whistle. A single sharp note. It floated across the field. My stomach tightened. It was unmistakably human. The whistle came again. Closer this time. I walked back inside and grabbed the shotgun we kept locked in a cabinet. Alyssa looked up from the couch. What happened? I think someone's out there. That immediately got both my sisters' attention. Brooke walked over to the window. You sure? Before I could answer, another whistle echoed from outside. That was all the proof I needed. I stepped back onto the porch. The dogs were barking furiously now. I couldn't see anyone. Only endless rows of dark sunflowers swaying in the wind. I raised the shotgun and shouted. You're on private property. No response. The whistling stopped. The field became completely silent. I fired a warning shot into the air. The blast echoed across the farm. For several seconds afterward, everything was quiet. I honestly thought whoever had been out there had finally left. I went back inside. My sisters immediately started asking questions. I told them somebody was probably trespassing. Neither of them liked that answer. To be honest, neither did I. For the next hour, we watched television while trying to convince ourselves everything was fine. Then the dogs started barking again. Even louder than before. I groaned and headed back outside. This time, I saw him immediately. A man was standing near the edge of the field. Maybe 30 feet away. He wasn't moving. Just standing there. Watching the house. The sight of him made my chest tighten. There was something unsettling about how still he was. I shouted at him. The man turned and disappeared into the sunflowers. Not ran. Not hurried. He simply stepped into the field and vanished. I started toward the edge of the crops before stopping myself. There was no chance I was following him in there. The plants stood nearly 7 feet tall. If someone wanted to hide among them, they'd be impossible to find. I returned to the house and brought both dogs inside. The 3 of us called our father. He listened carefully while I explained everything. His advice was simple. Keep the doors locked. Keep the gun nearby. And call law enforcement if the trespasser returned. The rest of the evening was tense. Eventually everyone went to their rooms. I brought the shotgun upstairs and placed it beside my bed. Sleep didn't come easily. Every little noise outside made me glance toward the window. Around 1 in the morning, I heard the whistle again. My eyes snapped open. The sound seemed closer than before. Much closer. I got out of bed and carefully approached the window. The moonlight illuminated part of the front yard. A figure was walking slowly across the grass. Whistling. The same tune. I couldn't make out his face. But I knew it was the same man. As if sensing my presence, he stopped walking. Then he turned directly toward my window. The whistling never stopped. I felt chills run through my body. The distance between us was too great for him to actually see me. Yet somehow it felt like he knew exactly where I was standing. I grabbed the shotgun and opened the window. The man continued staring. Still whistling. I shouted for him to leave. Nothing. No reaction whatsoever. The whistle continued. Slow. Calm. Deliberate. I finally fired into the ground several yards in front of him. The blast shattered the silence. The man immediately stopped. For a moment he simply stood there. Then he turned and ran. Not toward the field this time. Toward the side of the house. I lost sight of him. My heart was hammering. I rushed downstairs. Both of my sisters were already awake from the gunshot. What happened? Alyssa asked. He was back. That answer was enough to terrify them. The three of us locked ourselves in the living room and waited. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Nothing. No whistles. No movement. No barking. Eventually we started believing he was gone. But right before sunrise, one of the dogs began growling. A low, nervous growl. The kind that immediately tells you something isn't right. I slowly walked to the front window. The dog followed beside me. When I looked outside, my blood ran cold. The man was standing near the driveway. Perfectly still. Facing the house. He wasn't whistling anymore. He wasn't moving. Just watching. For how long, I have no idea. I called the sheriff's office immediately. Deputies arrived roughly 20 minutes later. By then the man was gone. They searched the property. The sunflower fields. The surrounding roads. Everything. They found footprints leading into the crops but eventually lost the trail. No suspect was ever identified. No vehicle was located. No explanation was ever given. The deputies suggested it might have been someone trying to intimidate us for amusement. Maybe a local. Maybe a drifter. Maybe someone under the influence. The truth is nobody knows. My parents returned home the next day and installed security cameras throughout the property. Motion lights. Additional locks. Even alarms on several doors. Nothing similar ever happened again. But years later, one detail still bothers me. The man never asked for anything. Never spoke. Never attempted to enter the house. Never approached once he knew we were armed. Instead, he seemed content simply standing there. Watching. Whistling. Waiting. And to this day, whenever I hear someone whistle late at night, I'm immediately reminded of that figure standing motionless beside the sunflower field, staring toward our house in the darkness.